So welcome to day one of Volkswagen experiences, and well, we've got a brilliant fleet of cars from Volkswagen, and the one that we've got to ourselves is the Virtus. Now all of you already know that the Virtus is one of the best sedans you can buy in the country. It's known for its efficiency, its dynamic character, and of course brilliant space and comfort. Now the one that we've got with us for the next few days is the one with the 1-liter TSI engine, and it also has a 6-speed automatic gearbox, so driving it is definitely going to be a comfortable experience. We've also got the 1.5-liter TSI Virtus sedans and the Taigun and the Tiguan. So yes, it's the whole fleet from Volkswagen that's here, so different cars. Now keep in mind that the challenge for especially the Virtus is going to be the fact that it's a sedan. Now while it's a brilliant sedan, these terrains are not exactly sedan territory, but keep in mind the Virtus has a very high ground clearance and good dynamics. So with all these challenging terrains, now let's focus on the drive. We've got some brilliant scenery to accompany us, we've got some brilliant stories to tell you, and a lot of new friends to make. So let's get this party started.
Once we were in Leh, we used the day to get acclimatized to the thin air, but more importantly, we made some great new friends who are all from the Volkswagen family. Through the evening and over dinner, we discussed what these folks, who are all customers, think about their cars, and while different people had different reasons to love their vehicles, two things emerged as a common acceptance by all. It was solid German build quality of the Taigun, Tiguan and Virtus, and also the brilliant dynamics that keeps the buyers happy every day.
It's been an amazing experience where it's basically Volkswagen cars are dependable cars, right? You can depend on them, and the stability of the cars, it's amazing.
I'm sure it's guaranteed to be the best trip of my life. My most awaited trip to Ladakh in my favorite car. We own 4 VWs and I'm sure we're going to love them for our lives.
I would like to say one thing. If VW arranges this kind of event again, I would love to join, because it is one of my best memory of my life. Loving you guys.
One of the key highlights of Sangam Point, where the river Indus and Zanskar meet. Roads here were excellent, and these two rivers can separately be seen meeting at this point. We stopped over to take a few shots, had lunch in the small cafe, and thereon moved on to Shanti Stupa.
Okay, now welcome to day 3 of Volkswagen experiences. Well, it was a fine day yesterday. The Virtus really impressed us with its capability to handle rough terrain. Still, no squeaks, no rattles. It functions just like a German car should. Now, day 3 is going to be very exciting, because today we are going to be heading out to Nubra Valley. Now, on the way, we'll make our way through South Pullu, North Pullu, then Nubra Valley. The most exciting part, once we have refueled our tummies, we will be heading out to Siachen base camp. So yes, an exciting day ahead, and let's go ahead and see what's in store for us for the day.
The first destination was Desert Valley Resort in Nubra Valley, which is around 130 kilometers from Leh. The roads to Nubra Valley were really bad, filled with rocks and stones, and there was hardly a smooth patch to drive. But our Virtus and the other cars managed these bad roads without any issues. And of course, the higher ground clearance of the Virtus and the Taigun came really into well effect. And of course, the higher ground clearance of the Virtus and the Taigun paid off really well. Along the way, we passed North and South Pullu and then Khardung La top, which is precisely at 17,982 feet. But we did not stop here, as we planned to come later on the return trip. At around noon, we reached our resort in Nubra Valley, where we had lunch, and soon after that we left for Siachen base camp, which is about 120 kilometers one way. The roads were really good but were quite narrow, and this meant that maneuverability was challenging. But again, this is where the brilliant visibility from the Volkswagen vehicles really shone through, and we were able to manage these roads without any issues on our Virtus, and this once again highlighted the brilliant German build quality of this car. But in the evening around 5 p.m. is when we reached the base camp, and this is where we could see the Siachen glacier. The view of the Siachen glacier was just scintillating. It was also the first ever media drive in India that went to the Siachen base camp. There we started our journey back to Nubra Valley, which was again around 120 kilometers. Going through these roads took us some time. We had a few close calls, but this is where the safety aspect of all these Volkswagen vehicles came into play. No matter when we had to brake hard or needed good grip and some brilliant handling, all the Volkswagen vehicles came to our rescue and offered us more than we asked for. Going through these roads took us some time though, and by about 9 p.m. we were back to our hotel in Nubra Valley, had dinner with all of our amazing friends from the Volkswagen family and called it a night. The next morning we started our journey back to Leh. Along the way we stopped by Nubra Valley dunes, clicked some pictures. Next stop was a nearby hotel where we had lunch, and this once again gave us an opportunity to chat with our new friends, where we had a lot of discussions about the drive till now, and all of us agreed that the brilliant German build quality and the safety aspects which almost everyone experienced on these challenging roads was something that makes out these Volkswagen vehicles a standout offering in the Indian market. The next stop was Khardung, which is about 80 kilometers from Nubra Valley. Now as we climbed, here the temperature dropped and the air also got thinner. Now in general, as science dictates, turbocharged engines use high compression and lack of oxygen should add more pressure on the engine and should negatively affect performance. But surprisingly, it did not happen to the extent we were expecting. And not just the 1.5 litre TSI engine, but even the 1 litre TSI engine was performing well, and none of the drivers of the cars struggled throughout these roads, once again highlighting the brilliant German way of making cars, which is smart and efficient. Finally, we made it to the top 17,892 feet, one of the highest motorable roads in the world. And since we had lesser oxygen to breathe, we parked our cars, clicked a few photographs, and were quickly on our way down again. Eventually, we finally reached Leh at around 8 p.m., covering a distance of about 150 kilometers, and called it a day there. The next morning, this day meant that the Volkswagen Experience drive was coming to an end. This also meant we had to say goodbye to our new friends, but that doesn't mean the end of our friendship. This was just the beginning, and I'm sure that we will meet a lot more in times to come. But once we did our goodbyes, we were all back on our different routes to our homes. For us, the destination was Delhi, but it wasn't so simple. While coming on the way, we wanted to make sure that we had more knowledge about the kind of hardships that people have to face in high altitude regions. Keep in mind, it's not just about the thin air. That's just one of the challenges people here have to live with. It's a complexity of many things which makes life tough. So in order to have a look at how tough life can be in these high altitude regions, we decided to head over to Dras. Now Dras is one of the coldest places on the planet. We reached there around evening and spoke to a few locals, and this is what they had to say about life in such a harsh place.
जैसे 1995 में द्रास एक कोल्डेस्ट प्लेस था, द सेकंड कोल्डेस्ट प्लेस ऑफ द्रास के नाम से जाना जाता था। 1995 में मैंने 60 डिग्री सर्दी यहाँ पर गई थी जी। यहाँ बर्फ़ गिरता है बहुत ज़्यादा। अप्रैल के महीने के बाद यहाँ रोड खुलता है। जो कच्चा माल है वो श्रीनगर जम्मू से यहाँ सप्लाई होता है, जो अक्टूबर एंडिंग नवंबर फर्स्ट तक रहता है। नवंबर फर्स्ट के बाद यहाँ फिर से विंटर शुरू हो जाता है, सर्दी ज़्यादा बढ़ती है और बर्फ़ ज़्यादा आता है। इस वजह से यहाँ कच्चे माल की कीमतें भी बहुत अक्सर बढ़ जाती हैं और प्रॉब्लम भी ज़्यादा होती हैं।
कभी कभार दिक्कत हो जाती है कि बर्फ़ की वजह से रोड सही नहीं है सर, स्लाइडिंग अभी टनल तैयार नहीं हुई है, तो कभी स्लाइडिंग कभी बर्फ़ को ऐसा सर, उससे थोड़ा सर दिक्कत हो जाती है। तो बाकी वैसे तो सर हमारा पूरा डिपेंड तो टूरिस्ट और लोकल पर है सर, तो उससे हमारा काम चलता है। कारोबार थोड़ा सा डाउन हो जाता है जब टूरिस्ट नहीं आते। जब जो ही टूरिस्ट सर बढ़ जाता है तो हमारा कारोबार भी बढ़ जाता है। हमारे सर ज़्यादा सर सोर्सेज इसी पर है, हमारी इनकम टूरिस्ट और थोड़ी सी लोकल से भी आती है सर।
Thereafter, we left for Sonmarg, which is about 60 kilometers from Dras, stayed there for the night, and over the next 2 days, we drove through the plains on straight, smooth highways where the Virtus really shone through with its brilliant stability, handling, and its powerful TSI engines. I must also note that on these highways there were a lot of times where we had to carry out emergency braking because of some careless people, but again this is where the safety aspect of the Virtus shone through, and the car helped us through in all of the situations, highlighting the aspect of solid German engineering. And once we were back in Delhi, we called it a night, and that was the end of Volkswagen experiences for us. This was also the end of an amazing week of driving and experiencing new places. More importantly, we met up with like-minded people who became friends, and that is exactly what the Volkswagen experiences is all about. It's not just about the car, but it's also about enjoying companionship and new experiences along with exploring the limits of your machine.